Reading. Every.
I'm almost being an engineer. I'm used to.
It's hard to find good ones too.
Yeah.
Been through all.
Get those things.
But we really have. But that's.
I have a car. And now.
It's on there.
I started on. There. I want to be going to the view. Get a good. So I'm now seeing where it's pretty. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I got, there's no center, you know, up the hill. Now, I know that there's a vacancy up the hill, so maybe that's a little bit nobody's there. But it might be they're just coming wrong.
I got different meters, so by the real estate, we like to say we cross from 212. Probably 10 different times. Yeah. And if you go up the hill, then I'm not too far.
We see the bus too. First time you've seen that. For me, that was, I mean, this is the street, but on all the way down there on T. I have not seen, have you seen?
I saw it. Go to the airport.
I see.
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey, Laura.
Very good question.
Yeah, our place like 60 or 59. What's up? Oh, is it? Oh, yeah.
Just slide that right down.
If they don't have to. Yeah. Yeah, so the first draft.
Okay, folks. Let's walk in order. The September 9th meeting of Woodstock Town Board, first order of business, AG has graciously come up to Woodstock to answer some questions. So, yeah, the floor is yours. Welcome to Woodstock.
Good evening, everyone. Let me turn this off. As you know, I don't have to be here. I'm not a member of the board. I am, I belong to Woodstock, but I don't live in Woodstock. What happens in Woodstock matters to me as an Ulster County citizen. It matters to me as a public official. It matters to me as a DA for Ulster County. I am not here to discuss anything in particular. I have recently been inundated with questions or comments about what's been going on recently in town. And from both sides or from all the angles, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna have any time to do anything else if I gotta respond to each and every person. And I had the brainy idea, if you believe that, to suggest that I come and, take questions and answers. You may like or not like the answers you're gonna get to any question, but I will give you the guarantee it will be the honest answer from me. I don't bullshit anybody, I don't sugarcoat anything, and I say it like it is, based on what I know. And if I don't know, I will tell you. But I am here to take as many questions as possible. I want the impression I get from everything I have heard, everything I have read, every person that's contacted me. It seems like this town, everybody's got their hands on everybody else's throats. And I don't want you to choke yourselves to death. I don't want you to choke yourselves out. I want this town to thrive. And if any answers that I give you can help you, like, have some clarity as to concerns that you have. Anything that may help you, settle down, calm down. I hope that's something that comes out of this. I honestly hope that, that's something that I bring to you. So, I am happy to answer any questions. If you wanna ask about what's going on in my office, I'm happy to talk about that, but I have a feeling. You have other things on your mind, so. How about it? Yes.
So I think just to keep things, we'll just go right across row to row and then we can go back again if finished, so. Howard?
Well, I was just gonna say, I just served on your grand jury and saw the work firsthand that you do, and it's pretty incredible. And your integrity as DA was quite remarkable, so thank you for what you do.
Well,
And
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, with that, I can leave.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I have two questions related to process. In our personnel procedures, it says that. Pardon me, reading glasses, the town board will determine if a vacancy is to be filled, whether the position is to be filled as a full-time, part-time, or temporary seasonal worker. Sorry, temporary seasonal position, and determine if the position is funded with appropriations. If that appears not to have happened, if a position is created or filled without the town board weighing in first whether that is appropriate and necessary, what is the process and how do you feel about
Okay. How I feel, I am not going to tell you.
it? Okay.
As far as the process is concerned. This is a question for the town attorney to answer. Because I don't know the town, all the rules that apply, and even if I knew. I don't think I can professionally take it on myself to answer that question for you. So it's best to ask that question of the town attorney. Perhaps the attorney general's office. But that's the best I can do.
And the town attorney works for the entire town, not just a person.
A town, just like the president. You work for the entire community and not just any particular individual. Because they get paid from the till of monies collected from everybody in the town.
I have a follow-up if I may, the answer may be similar, but, according to, the town law manual. And the role of town clerk, the clerk must attend every meeting and keep a written record of all proceedings of the board. Even though he or she is not a member of the board and does not have a vote on matters coming before the board. So if a town clerk were to leave a meeting. And state that no recording of that meeting would happen from that point forward. Where would we take our complaints?
Well, you can complain to the town, you can complain to the citizenry. You can complain within the board, but the answer for me again is going to be, this is. The town attorney has to advise on how to handle this, where to go with any issues involving.
So any citizen can approach the town attorney.
I'm sorry?
A citizen can approach the town attorney.
No, I'm saying if you have you ask where can you go? In terms of the overall politics, you can discuss those matters in town amongst each other. But as far as an official that you can go to or raise the issue to, you can write a letter to the town attorney, you can write to the board. You can, make a call to see if they will entertain you, if they will meet with you to talk, to hear what you have to say.
And if they don't, if this is town law,
Where's the oversight? That's
Where's
what she's trying to
yeah.
get to.
where's the oversight other than voicing a complaint?
The town attorney works for the town board, but there's only one person on the town board that actually gets access to the town attorney.
Okay,
And he's just going, no, when she was asking about, do we have access?
Actually,
You're saying we have access.
that's not true,
okay,
but go on then.
your interest is in oversight.
Correct.
That oversight comes from the process in the community, the political process. And who you elect, the people in the board get to make the decision, who the town attorney is. And, when we are unhappy about any political process, we make a decision to vote, exercise our votes to change that situation. Or to keep that situation.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm sorry, I apologize for interrupting, but it's not necessarily unhappiness with the political process. I'm citing the handbook and the law.
No, I understand that, in terms of oversight, there is, I am the DA for Ulster County. The county executive has no authority over me. She has the budget. She can say, okay, this money, I'm not gonna give this money to you for whatever you need. The same thing goes for the towns. The town attorney, there's no oversight over the town attorney, not from me, not from anyone in the county. Perhaps the county, the controller may have some, role if there is something for her to investigate, but that's in terms of oversight, there's nobody that is that has oversight power over the town attorney, except the board.
It's up now.
You ready?
So I have a different question. My question is in regards to, the Rape is Rape Act. And that came into, current law, in, I think, January 2024, is that correct?
Maybe. Yeah, it's
Yes.
been lost since last year.
So, if somebody has been convicted prior to that date. But we're talking about a same action that is currently in law. Known and considered to be rape. Because that law covered that you raping another person with an object, not just a bodily,
Mhm.
you know.
I understand what.
So trying to,
You don't have to.
in
do
public
that.
here, trying to, so. Could you, it would completely make sense that if that is the current law. That you would speak in those terms based on what current law is, if that is what a person has done. Whether it was 10 years, 50 years, or today, or yesterday, or in the future.
Well,
There's nothing that prevents you from speaking about that in terms of when you're describing the actions that that person has been convicted, even if it was before that law came out, correct?
I'm not quite sure about what you're asking, but if you're saying this new law that went into effect last year. If somebody had done something that's prescribed by this new law. And the person did that thing before this law came into effect.
Right.
If that's what you're asking, it may constitute the same crime, but you can't. If the person was convicted of, let's say something such as. Deviant sexual intercourse. Or, you know, that's what it's still gonna be called. You can't. The rape, the new change in the law applies forward, it doesn't go.
Right, you're not gonna-
retroactive.
Yeah, you're not gonna convict them in the past ranking, but if I'm talking about it. In social media or writing a letter to the editor, or if I wanna speak about it in public. I'm thinking about the current law. And so I can speak to that, there's there's letters of cease and desist or something going around saying. People can't talk about or use those terms, even though that's the current law, and that's actually what happened in current law.
See,
That's what I'm asking about.
I am not savvy about civil practice,
Okay.
and laws about defamation, and there's also, the free speech,
Right.
rights, that all those are implicated and intertwined. You know,
Maybe you could speak to this free speech part.
the truth is always, it depends. Okay, as long as you're not saying something that you know to be false. Or that could reasonably be known to be false. You know, you shouldn't have any concern, if you're speaking the truth, you shouldn't have to worry. Of course, I know that some people, what's true for somebody may be different for somebody else. But some people can get sued for defamation, for various civil liabilities that. I don't deal with because my focus, my concentration is in criminal law.
Okay.
Now, in terms you said about the First Amendment, I mean. The First Amendment is very, the right to free speech.
Yeah.
It's very robust. But at the same time, we all have a responsibility, for example, not to shout fire in a crowded theater.
Right.
You see, so that we all have to exercise that discretion to make sure that we are not getting ourselves in trouble, whether criminally or civilly. And sometimes what's said, may become a crime. It could be even a mere violation such as harassment. Such as aggravated harassment. And somebody can be charged. And possibly prosecuted. For, for a crime in those circumstances. Okay.
Danny, third row.
Hi.
Hi.
Unfortunately, I just arrived, so I was not here for the
Well,
presentation. If you had made one, so please excuse me.
That's okay, glad you're here.
Well, I have two questions. The first is in regards to what I understood was that there was a new conversation statewide about police reform, and you were going to share information about that. So if that's true, I will be looking into that, but I wanted to just place myself, because now I'm hearing you answer questions, and I have many, but I won't ask them all.
Okay, no, I came for a question and answer.
Sweet, okay.
I had no plans of, any particular area.
Awesome.
And as far as the police reforms are concerned, I am not aware of that.
Great, okay, so excuse me for wasting that time. My question. One of the first questions, the main question I have is you probably are hearing there's a lot of concern within our community around a specific hire. That was, that put everyone in our town in jeopardy, including tourists, right? Because, and we're all kind of confused, actually, because when we look at like legal papers, when you listen to people speak about the issue, when you hear people worrying that maybe they say that they use the R word, but maybe it wasn't technically the R word, there still remains a major issue, which is it's twofold. So the first one is that we as a community feel that we are not being supported by our town supervisor and another one of our town members, and that we are being put in a position where our children, the women in our community are being dismissed and also put in a dangerous position. And so the biggest question, the biggest thing that we keep hearing is let's give this person a second chance, right?
Well,
And
Let him answer the question.
and so that's what we're hearing from our supervisor, right?
Okay.
We're giving this human a second chance. But I also know that there are programs within in the Hudson Valley, in
If you make this
the Ulster County.
make this much longer, I'm not gonna be able to answer the question. I wanna keep it.
The Ulster County has programs that support people when the community knows that there's a position available and it hasn't been filled already. That there is options for programs that allow people who are coming out of incarceration to return to the community in such a way. And I wonder if if that program would place a level 3 sex offender in a position to work unsupervised
This is,
in public spaces.
I know this is the stuff I was receiving all the information about, okay? Sex offenders convicted, let me backtrack. Registered sex offenders are people convicted of the crimes of sexual offense. Those who are required to register under the Sex Offender Registration Act. Are either because they committed a sexual offense or because they committed kidnapping. Okay? They are individuals convicted of crimes. When an individual is convicted of a crime and they go off to prison, at some point they get out. When they get out, they go back into the communities within the state or anywhere else. In New York State, anyone convicted of a registrable sex offense or kidnapping, by the time they get out of prison, It's all going to be set up, they are going to be assessed, they will be classified and given classification one. Classification one is that the person doesn't present a chance. There's not much chance that the person is going to reoffend. Okay? Classification two, that person has a moderate chance to reoffend within the community when they are let back in. Classification three is the highest. And that means that that person is highly at risk to reoffend. Okay, that's the worst category. When you think about it, you may not know it, and I don't want to be offensive, but we have sex offenders residing next to us in various parts of Ulster County. We do,
Yeah.
okay? The thing is, the law requires or prohibits them to be in certain places and in certain jobs. And the people who are supervising them make sure, are required, they are mandated to make sure that they comply with those requirements. They are required to register, they are required to register where they live, where they work. And they are not allowed to be within a certain distance of, depending on the situation, schools, for children, or playgrounds and stuff like that. As long as they comply, they are entitled to live in the community, no matter how egregious what they did was. And no matter how much time they did in prison or how little time they did in prison. If the sex offender is not committing any offense, there's nothing you can do. Now, one thing that's required of if the sex offender doesn't recertify their address or, follow the rules that they're supposed to follow, they get in trouble. And we do prosecute those who fail to register. In fact, we have some pending cases right now. Because the law requires that the community be made aware. You can, right now, go home or even on your phone, look for a registered sex offender near me.
Yeah.
And you can find out about anybody. If you have any name that you suspect to be a sex offender, you can put their name in to search. And
So the question.
Hold on though, Rachel, we're gonna do this in an orderly manner.
Bring us to the question because it was long. The Ulster County has a program where they support people in coming into jobs out of prison. And I wonder if the Ulster County is discerning about their choices of where they place people, i.e. perhaps.
sex offender registration controls where those sex offenders are placed. Anyone who is a registrable sex offender, anyone convicted of any of those offenses or kidnapping, that process is done in prison. They have to identify where they're going to live, and that place has to be checked out. All the requirements under the law have to be met before they can go to that place. Okay, and once the person gets out and is living in that community, they have to continue to recertify. If they move, they have to do it again. It is very burdensome on them, but you can understand why. The concerns that everybody has here about what sex offenders can do and usually do. And that's required for every level 2 and level 3 sex offender.
Okay, next, Dave. No, I'm going across. Dave, you have a question?
No.
Okay, Alan?
Okay, is there any legal distinction between loitering within 1,000 feet of the school and working within 1,000 feet of the school, the person is not permitted to be near a school because of a child sex conviction.
Loitering is,
In other words,
is either purposeless or with intent to commit some crime or some act.
let me clarify, if a person's on parole and they are, if there is a, requirement that they stay outside of 1,000 feet of a school or playground, is there a distinction ever made? If they are working, then they are permitted within that 1,000,
Well,
and if they are loitering, they are not?
I understand what you mean,
Okay.
you know, somebody who is a registered sex offender, let's say they have a vehicle. And if they're driving past the school, maybe within 500 feet, within 1,000 feet. That's different.
Not talking about driving, so.
Okay, no, I understand, if the person is working, doing a job, right? I can't see that. Again, they cannot live near, within a certain distance of the school, right? If the person is doing some other function, it depends on what it is they are doing. And the supervisor of that individual would have to already know that this is what this individual is doing. And if the individual, let's say, goes into the school, that's a whole different thing. I mean, it depends on the totality of the circumstances as to whether the person is in violation, but if the person is working. And the supervisor knows that this is the job of this individual, whether it's temporary or, permanent. That's a whole different thing. I don't know if that answers your question, but the
You're
circumstances,
saying that it might be legally permissible.
I'm sorry,
You're saying that it might be legally permissible to be within 1,000 feet of the school.
I don't
This
think
is job
it's,
assignment.
I don't think it's impermissible.
Okay.
Okay, but if the person goes beyond that temporary. That fleeting moment, that's a whole different thing. See,
Okay, next, Laura.
Okay, I have with the two-part question. First of all, since you said, the town attorney was the one who we addressed all our problem, our issues with, correct? We have,
I don't know if I said all issues, but
But-
the questions that were asked of me
yeah,
so far,
you know what I mean, legal
Yeah.
issues, legal questions.
yeah.
So my question is, why isn't the town attorney present at our board meetings? Because this way you'll understand the issues that are going on. He should be by law at every single board meeting, and that attorney is never here.
Okay, that I have no control over. It's, the board can say, hey, okay, we want, every 4 months we'll have a town attorney day. Let's have a question and answer for the town attorney.
Well, how do we require to have town attorney present here so we can make sure our meetings go correctly?
I think, if we get our hands off our throats and work together, it can happen that, hey, the board can vote and have the town attorney, arrange for the town attorney to come in. I have no idea if they will come,
I
yeah,
just
I
thought it
can
would
do
be
that.
part of the mediation.
I'm sorry,
I thought it'd be helpful for not getting throats or hands across by having a mediator here with the town attorney, so there will not be any misinformation.
yeah, I think, I think it might be helpful for the town attorney to be here, I'm not, it's not up to me. But I'm saying it because I think it might be helpful for the town attorney, he or she can answer questions that alleviate some of the concerns that some people
Pull it out
have.
steam and figure out what's happening, what's real and not.
It's entirely possible, but that's, gonna be up to the town and the board and, the officials that you have elected.
My second question is, now, do you talk about, the town attorney, but do you have any jurisdiction? Does the DA always have any jurisdiction over the current case we're talking about, we're talking about the Arnello case? does your office have any jurisdiction?
No,
And
because the individual has not committed any crime.
correct,
And the issues, the discussions that you're having about the board, some people on the board knowing and some people not knowing and some people not sharing the information. For me, the law makes that information available if it's a level 2 or level 3 registered sex offender. That information is available to everyone in this room. And if you choose to go to look, you may find that information. I would recommend that, if we are hiring somebody in this town, that we all, all board members, anyone interested, hey, put that name in there, go check.
right,
And, to the extent that you can find out, at least that we don't have a repeat of this situation.
Still feels like you were set up.
Okay, Ken,
You were set up.
Thank you.
thank you very much, I really appreciate your
Thank you,
answers.
thank you very much. Can you hold on 1 second? I am really interested in cooling down the sentiments that are really needed here. And I can understand, what you feel and what other people feel. But I really want to turn the temperature down. Because if you can, I don't want to have the chief here bringing me a case about someone to prosecute. I don't want it to get to that point, because the heat continues, it's bound to escalate, and I do not want, see that young man over there, he looks like he just stepped out of high school. I don't want him to have.
He's getting ready to retire.
I can understand why, after 2 weeks of this, no,
Nick, right there,
Yes.
right here, must be good.
oh, wow.
Terry, do you have a question? Okay, Linda? Back row?
I have a question, so say that I get a grand jury production, subpoena, where I have to produce that. If I do not turn in a piece of evidence, is that considered lying to the grand jury?
Lying,
Yes,
you get a subpoena, to produce something. So that would be a subpoena justice tecum. Is it signed by a judge?
yes, I have one actually, but I'm just asking for like legal precedent. So
Well,
in terms of if I were to respond to a subpoena with only part of the information, but not all of the information, would that be considered a lie in court?
okay. If you mislead the court, if you answer the subpoena,
Not fully.
what do you mean not fully?
If I
See,
withhold information when there's a subpoena issued to me, what is the repercussion of that?
there are consequences, for failure to obey the subpoena. Contempt of court. If it's signed by a judge, you have contempt of court, you have contempt of the grand jury, you can be criminally prosecuted for that. It would not be perjury.
So,
But if you testify in the grand jury that this is all the document, this is all the record, when you know for sure that you did not produce all the document, you can be prosecuted for perjury.
cool, follow-up question.
No, that's not cool. You don't need that.
I'm not intending to do that anyway. However, if I
Are
If I end
you,
up being on the town board in the future and I withhold information, what is the potential for that to come back? and bite?
withhold information?
In any way.
Meaning,
If I have a piece of information that's pertinent to an issue that's before the town, and if I withhold that information, what possible repercussions do I face as a town?
what's the, I mean,
If I have
if
something.
you're talking about
Information.
legal obligation,
Correct, yeah, if I have,
Okay,
so
if
if
there's
I,
a-
if I'm sitting on the town board. And I have a piece of information that is pertinent to something that is before the town board currently.
when
And
you
I
say a
withhold
piece of information, are you talking about a document
A
that you're
document.
required to produce? Or information that you learned or read or saw somewhere and have in your head?
If it's legal information that I know that I don't present to the town board in a forum as this,
Okay.
what happens
Can
to me?
can you, I know where you're going, but get there. Because it's the reason I came, it's one of the reasons I came.
It's a question, I mean, as somebody that might be sitting on the town board, I wanna know what rights I have to hold information if I feel like it's not appropriate to bring it forward. Or if it's something that is important that I decide to hold and make a bad decision to hold forward.
Okay, is this information that the person has in fiduciary status? Or is this information that's completely available to the community, that to everybody, that anyone can look up and find and, know themselves?
That's my question, what's the legal barrier?
Okay.
What's the
Info-
path?
Information that somebody has in a fiduciary capacity is a whole different thing. It may be a confidential information.
Well, and-
Or a protected information that they are not obligated to share. Information that you can find and I can find and any of us can find, but one of us finds it and doesn't tell the others who may want to use the same information. There's no legal obligation there. There's no legal obligation for you to tell me something that you found by going online that I can do the same thing I'm fine.
Or well, or
Whichever way that I get it or that you get it.
Next, Sarah. Your question?
Who's
Sa-
Sarah? Oh, I'm sorry, I was.
Could you actually start over there?
Because Okay.
I'm working on it.
Well, we'll skip over you.
Yeah.
Next,
I'm back.
Michael.
Don't you forget?
Yes. Thank you, District Attorney and Jay, for taking time to go down here. Okay, so I appreciate that time is critical. So my questions have to do with oversight and possible obstruction of justice. Okay, this is I'm gonna be very specific. So if there were press reports that one of the complaints against the town employee was that he was within 200 feet of the school working. And that people took pictures of it and saw it. That's on top of the other complaints that were given by minors in this room. Okay, in this room with the chief of police here. Now, according to the press, chief of police got a phone call from Child Protective Services and followed up on it. And then Supervisor McKenna got on his case, told him to some, I don't know exactly, to back off. Okay, that's intimidation to me, that's an employee. Okay, and then there's the other threshold for obstruction of justice, and police has investigation that has to do with presenting false information. And any statement made to our town's attorney that was not correct about Anello, about what he did, how he was supervisor, even if he was on the payroll, should be an obstruction crime, because there's a police investigation, okay, into whether this person should be where he is, and to have our police chief, castigated for asking questions that protect the community, and then to have letters go out to the board members in that town, telling them they better not talk about this, and statements that the supervisor has made. Some of them would be on the videotape that the town refuses to produce. Okay, from the meeting that happened here. Every time this man is accused of a crime or some thing that happens wrong in this town, the minutes don't get there. The videotape disappears. So as far as oversight goes, he pays the lawyer. So what are we to do? We have no oversight. There's possible obstruction here. When I went to your office, the security guard at the desk very politely told me, if we investigate crimes here, if you think that if anybody thinks a crime is committed, they should report it to the police. So am I now reporting to the police that I believe there was obstruction of justice in this matter? And I wanted an investigation of that. And if there was a question in my investigation of that, so what is obstruction? Is intimidation, is lying to the public record, or lying to the police chief, or lying to the lawyer, a crime? If there's a police investigation involved.
The crimes under the penal law have specific elements and requirements. Okay? In order to charge somebody with a crime, the police have to have reasonable cause. Reasonable cause to believe that that crime has happened and the person who is to be accused did in fact commit the crime. If you do not meet those requirements, you cannot charge somebody with a crime. Sometimes passions get heated, people have ideas about their, their interpretations of what's happening. But a lot of times when you look at what the law says, it's not quite the same. When you think about it, when you're thinking of a crime, you're thinking of something that for which a class A misdemeanor, somebody can go to jail for up to 1 year. If it's a class E felony, somebody can go to prison for up to 4 years. So it's something that has to be that serious.
The question, sir,
Okay.
the question, sir, is if there is a criminal investigation into a matter, while police are investigating something,
Mhm.
and an official of the town makes a false statement or tries to intimidate a witness, is that not obstruction of justice?
If the officer that's
If those
doing
are-
the
if those are-
investigation, the officer that's doing the investigation will have to know, is the information that. It has to be material. Okay, the information has to be material to what's happening, and the officer has to know. That, hey, what it means within the context of that investigation, whether it should be a crime or not. I can't tell you whether just, in a blanket statement that something like that would be a crime, because. It's gonna depend on the facts and circumstances of.
Investigation seems to be the way to get there.
I'm sorry,
You have to ask questions to get there, investigation, which is why we came to you.
part of.
We don't know who to get to investigate us.
Part of what can happen here is to reach out to the county audit, the county controller. She can do an audit. Okay, she can do an audit, I don't know if she will be able to do it, okay, but that's, the other thing is, reach out to the attorney general. The New York State Attorney General, that they have the capacity and the bandwidth to do something like that. Okay,
Very good.
but I don't want to speculate on anything, because I know in my position as a prosecutor, I have to be careful how far I go with that.
I understand, thank you.
The answers I get.
Appreciate it.
I just have a couple of quick questions for, in specific legal terms. So on the sexual offender registry list, if you do decide to look someone up, usually on the profile for that person, it will list what the conditions are for them, correct? And so if it says no contact with minors, when we define that, is that no contact meaning no direct one-on-one contact physically with that minor in front of them? Or is that no contact with minors as in no contact being in a place where minors might be? What would the definition of that be?
The definition is going to depend on the circumstances again, but generally, the person is not supposed to go, for example, children are in the park.
Right.
That person going into the park is gonna get himself in trouble.
Okay, so,
Okay, that person picking up a minor and to hold them, especially if it's not somebody related to that, is going to get him in trouble.
okay, so
It
like,
depends on the
a
circumstances.
quick follow-up question would be, if then, you have someone who is convicted of this crime, who is at a level 3 status, who is working, but is working when a summer camp is in session on community grounds, would that then constitute no contact with minors, yes or no?
But is he having contact? in
Well, I
that-
suppose that's
that
what I mean.
circumstance?
If you're saying that even going to a park where minors might be could potentially constitute no contact with minors, does then being in a community area where a summer camp is ongoing constitute no contact or not?
Again, you're saying this individual's working. If he is working, that can change everything. It's
Okay.
going to depend on the facts and circumstances of each case, but it's a,
Okay.
it's a very heated area.
And so that,
And
I'm sorry.
the person that supervises
Mhm.
that registered sex offender
Mhm.
has, would know.
Are they required to physically be with him at all times, or is it just like general oversight?
It's a general oversight, but it's
Okay.
probably the most intensive supervision.
Understood.
You
So,
know,
well,
it's-
so my last question then would be as a follow-up, so you had said earlier when answering a question that if someone is, fleetingly passing a school, correct? Like if they're driving by, that's very different than if they're spending an extended amount of time there. Now, again, I understand it's context dependent and all of the different variances come into play when you're looking at whether or not something is legal or illegal or is breaking parole or not, but if someone is working, let's say, within 1,000 feet of a school, if they spend, 3, 4 hours, 2.5 hours working in that area within that distance, would you, in your capacity as a criminal prosecutor, would that constitute a parole breakage, yes or no?
the parole officer would have to make that determination, okay? Because if the person is working as they are required and committed to work,
Okay.
is the person working with children or interacting with children? Hell no. If they are interacting with children in the work, in that job,
Mhm.
then it would be a violation of the.
Thank you, Bill. Next. Thanks so much for coming. I do appreciate you being here. Obviously, this is a very emotional issue. People felt unsafe, people felt that their town representatives weren't being honest enough. So my general question is, when the community's feeling that, is there any agency that can put objective eyes on this situation and look at the facts and help the community deal with this? Is there an ethics board besides, the controller and the attorney generals, and obviously your phone's ringing off the hook? If there isn't, how does a community or a county go about trying to establish something like that?
There is an ethics board for Ulster County, but I have a feeling they would not be able to deal with this issue. There isn't an oversight agency to address this type of issue. You know, I wish there was like a resolution team or board that can, discuss this kind of issue and bring you guys back together. I recognize all these, and that's why I volunteered myself to come here. To the extent that whatever I say, whatever answers I give to your questions can help you. As a community deal with this. Because I truly care. I do not want this tearing this town apart. I do not want this tearing this board apart. And perhaps as a board, we can do better. Okay, we can do better. And when we are making decisions, and I'm going off, on my own now. This is not like a legal opinion or something like that. This is just what I am saying from my heart. Let's be transparent with each other, share information about the decisions that. I am speaking to you, I am speaking to him, I'm speaking to everybody here. I think it's very important because the more we point fingers, the more heated it gets. Okay, and we really need to get it under control because this town needs this board to act under control. This town needs this board to function. This town needs this board and all the members of the board and members of this community to have that peace of mind.
So then if the board votes on something, the
No, 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 no.
supervisor should listen,
We're
and
gonna-
if you're saying the board has problems, then it's the supervisor's the issue. Cause the board is capable of voting and making a decision that's done.
Rachel, you had your question, we're gonna go on now, Dan, did you have a question? Davin?
I do, but it's different topics, so I would rather.
He's here to talk about anything.
Anybody else would want.
He's here to talk about anything.
My name is Kevin Smith. I mean,
Hi, Kevin.
thank you for being here. There are two resolutions on the town board agenda tonight that have to do with public safety, traffic safety in particular. A speed limit reduction request, the New York State DOT, for Route 212, Tinker Street in Mill Hill. Right through the middle of the village, and a resolution requesting that DOT, I believe, $31 million project, implement a side path between the edge of the village and the Bearsville intersection. Your office has had the unenviable task of investigating and prosecuting some horrible tragedies that have to do with pedestrian
We just,
fatalities.
we just resolved two of them. One is in the paper today, and there's another one that hasn't, been, reported out
And
yet.
I thank you on behalf of all of us.
I wish we didn't have to deal with those situations, but unfortunately they happen and we have to deal
And
with
in
them.
many cases, they've happened on our main streets, which are also state highways, which our towns, our municipal governments have limited jurisdiction over.
Next.
You can prosecute. But there's the limits to your office and what your charge is. What would you say to us as a community?
There's also the element of prevention.
Yes,
And the element of prevention is something that I have, I've been thinking about even when I was running for EA. I started with a program called One Life Only, which, just, we had an event in Kingston over the weekend. Dealing with youth and prevention of youth crimes and youth violence, there's also that element of prevention with vehicular crimes and others. People being careful when they drive, caring about each other such that you take that care to drive your vehicle to go from one place to another, making sure you don't hurt somebody, and if you do, stop and, help. The county executive has a traffic safety program. Whereby they are doing studies, they are reducing speeds in certain locations. It's probably best to bring this to the county executive's attention, and I'm sure they will work with you, and I know she works with the sheriff. Sometimes you see some of these speed readers on the roads, they use them to study the speeds. Along some of our highways and the local streets. And they just reduced the city limit in Kingston to 25 from 30. And I see that's a trend that's happening, but it's important, everyone has a responsibility for highway safety, whether you're walking, whether you're a pedestrian or a bicyclist or a driver. And that care and concern for others can be a good way of preventing these incidents from happening. The care and concern to not drink and drive, the care and concern not to be high on drugs or even if prescribed to and drive. That's important in prevention.
Okay. And that's next. Right, okay, Marcel?
no question.
Mike?
Yeah, thank you again for coming. I wanna take exception to something you said a couple of times to this community, and that is that you made reference to this, everyone being at each other's throats in this town.
Yeah, that's the way it seemed to me from.
And I just wanna clear something up.
Sure.
Okay? I've lived here 25 years. I have never seen the town come together and be more unified over this issue. Ever. I do not think we are at each other's throats. I think we are bonded over a common denominator. And it's a big one. We have a lot of survivors in this town of sexual abuse. For many of them, it happened when they were children, okay? It's a reality. And as far as I can tell, survivors don't have rights. You know, we really don't, and I am a survivor. I apparently don't have any rights as a survivor, except to stand up here and say, look, the community is very upset with the way this whole matter went down. And the blame for how this went down lays squarely on the town supervisor. He managed this process, he handled it, he shepherded it, he oversaw it, and he withheld information from the community. What you are experiencing tonight is the blowback. This is blowback, because we have been mistreated by our town supervisor.
Well,
You know, the sex offender is, you know, he is what he is, and I understand he's done his time, he deserves a chance, the whole bit.
Yeah. Is
But
there a
what-
question, Michael?
My question is this, at what point does the community have a right to have a say in what goes on here? We don't have that at the moment. The ballot
Okay,
box.
what I can tell you right now, is I agree with how you started. That the community has come together. It may be difficult to perceive that, it may be difficult to see it that way. Especially because of the contentious issues or comments that I'm getting, you know, sitting in my office or trying to do something else. But you know what happens when you throw clothes in a washing machine? Okay, the first cycle, it soaks. In order to clean the clothes, it's gonna get to that second cycle where it's agitating and agitating, agitating, agitating. That's what's going on here. And what you're going to get, I hope, is cleaner clothes. You clean this system that we're dealing with, that you're concerned about. And we may.
We let him finish.
You have people who are interested to come to a resolution. You have people who are you know, who have different ideas. I have prosecuted many sex offenders. People who molested boys under 17, people who molested girls. 20-month-old girl, a 6-year-old father who raped his 6-year-old daughter. Okay, I have seen everything, and I know the pain that when I see those individuals who were molested, who were sexually assaulted. When I see them, I know what they're going through. When they see me, I know they remember the work I did in connection to their case. They may be, you know, they may be nice and kind to me, as they usually are. But I know that my face reminds them of that terrible experience, okay? And I don't want them to go through that. I don't want them to have to remember how they know me or why they know me, okay? And everyone in this room ought to have that type of mindset that, hey, this action may set off somebody. This action may traumatize somebody, okay? And that trauma is part of what is going on in this town. With what's going on in Saugerties, I have adult men who wrote letters to me saying, 20 years ago, I was molested. 30 years ago, I was molested. And all these things about, sex offenders in Saugerties, a registered sex offender in Woodstock. And this information is traveling along the same axis in Ulster County. And people are being re-traumatized.
Yeah.
To some degree. And some people are having, I don't wanna point a finger at anybody, I want this to stop. I want the re-traumatization to stop, I want people to work together. If
He's talking to everybody, just give him a chance.
I didn't come here to blame one person.
But we have one person to
But-
that's holding to making sure we're all re-traumatized, and we can't pretend it's not true. Well, so that's the
Again.
part, that's the
Again.
reality, you can't clean the laundry if you just switch it around.
All right,
It'll be
all right,
done.
Aaron, and then Sarah, and then we'll wrap it up.
Well,
Because you-
Would like to thank you for your kindness
You have
in
a
coming
question?
here.
Yes,
For me, I would like to summarize what I've heard you say, kind of repeatedly through everybody's questions, which seems to be, I wanted to come here to get your hands off the throats of your supervisor, because that's the only throat anybody's hands are on. But, I actually cannot do that. There is no legal recourse that this entire room of people and community who are appalled by one man's decision to bring someone who was not a native born son, oh, he grew up in Woodstock and he did his time. No, he handpicked.
Is there a question, Aaron?
I'm getting there, Bill, and don't cut me off.
Yeah.
So he handpicked his personal secretary's boyfriend from an hour and a half away, 5 months out of jail, to come and apply for a job where was the job posted? How long was that job posted? Who were the other people that applied for that job and why were they denied for a man who has a background in building maintenance to come and work on our streets, where you're now saying that the difference between a level 3 sex offender who ran a supposedly, okay, let me ask these questions on the record. Did that man's ex-roommate ever come forward and declare to the town that it was an FBI investigation into a dark web website in which that man had 3 videos of himself sexually abusing women, but could only find one survivor to come forward because it was that roommate's girlfriend, and they couldn't find the other women. And then the dark web also had child pornography, but they could only charge him for the ones that were downloaded onto his personal devices. So don't tell me it was a mistake, because getting into the dark web is an intentional act. Putting up a website full of victims is an intentional act. Raping anybody is an intentional act, especially children who are unprotected. And now you're saying that that man has been given a free pass by our town supervisor to loiter while mowing and raking and snow scooping around our schools, putting his eyes on all of our frickin' children as long as he wants by some supervised visit to our schools and parks. And what you're saying, to sum up, and this is my question, what you're saying is we have no recourse. Do we have someone to go to fix this situation or not? Yes or no?
I do not say it's okay for this individual to be in the school. I do not say that it's okay for him to be anywhere near children. And just to be clear, there is no way I am saying that to you. If this individual.
Need recourse. Can we go to fix this situation?
Okay.
Because our town board voted him out and our town supervisor held up our town money, put him back in position, and continued paying him so that he went into September, so we couldn't fire him per unionized law, there's gotta be some recourse. If you cannot do anything, who can we go to?
Okay, again, I started off with answering that question from the town attorney is the individual that has the answer for this issue for the town.
So who can access the town attorney? Can I?
Can any of us?
Supervisor,
Okay, no, we said.
Town board.
You just said no, none of us can talk to this.
So Bill, can I come to you? I mean, you will go to the town lawyer together to discuss this?
You and I are not going to the town hall.
Oh, really? Shocking.
Again,
Shocking.
again,
None of us have access to it. Please do.
this is an issue in this town that the town board and the town attorney, they have the answers, they are the ones to give you the answers.
Okay, yes.
There's no crime.
To remove this individual.
I understand that, but it remains the town board and the town attorney and.
Above our own town board, so these 5 individuals need to continue slugging this out. There is literally no help from Ulster County,
As I
no
said,
help from the state of New York.
as I said before, you can reach out to Ulster County attorney. I don't think the Ulster County attorney is gonna be able to do anything for you. The best place that can do anything is the Attorney General's office. Honestly, I doubt if they will be able to do anything.
Right.
The answers you're looking for have to come from the town attorney and this board.
Okay, so
Okay, but again, is the board appointed or elected?
the board
Okay,
is elected.
that's where, you see,
Yes, we all made a mistake in being faithful and
again, that's.
assuming that during an interview process in which information comes out during an interview process, I don't think Bill went and Googled Mike Linello. I think Mike Linello was honest with Bill about his background, and Bill, during the interview process, chose to not disclose information gained during the interview
I
process.
understand that.
Post the job to anybody else.
Who interviewed him?
Bill.
Oh,
And-
Hold on.
It's nepotism. He brought in his personal secretary's boyfriend from an hour and a half away. Look it up, the man resides an hour and a half away from this town.
Never offered
this
the
is-
job to anyone in the town.
He was
Some
required
right.
to post his jobs.
Sometimes,
Job posted and for how
There's
long?
gotta be laws.
sometimes,
That's the law.
sometimes there is, it takes time for the electoral process to play itself. But that's, there isn't, what I'm telling you is.
No recourse, and so I wanna go on record, our supervisor gave a free pass for a sexual level pre-offender who he knows the true story, and if all the rumors I've heard are true, I do too, and shame on you, Bill. You gave a free pass for that man to loiter with rape in hand anywhere. I actually came across the man on the street and he turned off his loading thing and, you know, turned and said good morning to me, and that was great, except I'm a survivor, so then when I walked away and he was around the corner from my home with my 2 children, it sent me into a panic attack. Now, I'm not a child, but my 2 girls are, and it is not fair, and Bill did that, and I'm sure he doesn't give a shit that he did it to me, because we all know what Bill thinks about me. However, he gave a free pass for this man to be able to loiter anywhere he wants, at parks or schools, because he's working. However, maybe he's looking at our children and calling his friends that are on the dark web child rape site and being like, hey, there's this kid, he's constantly in the park alone. Maybe you should go speak that out.
Let's move on.
That's Sarah.
This guy be jumping in the yeah, next to the school. Alright. That can't be legal.
Man, recall.
There's 5 years of prohibition. None of this would be a conversation. 5 months.
It would not be.
David,
It is-
I wanna thank you for
I won't
attending
today,
today, so.
He's still serving his time.
I am really sorry that this is, you know, I didn't come here to treasure. No, I understand, please. You do not have to apologize to me about everything because this is what I signed up for. I want, it matters. It matters to me to not see the pain, okay? The pain that people are going through here. It matters to me. That's why I wanted to come, okay? And I am absolutely glad that I came. And to the extent that I can help bridge the gap here, figure out what to do to make sure that we, you know, to help this
Please
town
tell us
figure out
what to
how to do.
Is there anything we can do?
I think going forward, everybody needs to be open up and honest about what's happening.
We have. to.
And I think
He's talking.
Hello.
to very
it is, it is important that we be mindful and conscientious about, you know, that what we do have consequences. They impact other people. And as I can see, you know, this is something that has impacted many people in this community in different ways and re-traumatized some other people in different ways. And I can't change that. It's something that's not, it's not a criminal, it's not a crime. I can't prosecute that, okay?
Well, thank you for the work that you did prosecute.
Well, you know. It is my hope that things will get better going forward. It is my hope that things will change. And it is my hope that we wouldn't have to go through an election before things change. Okay, I would like to see this board and the members of the community, figure out an answer. Okay, and how to, you know, care and take care of each other. Because the pain I am seeing here, I really want to think, you know.
I just wonder, I wonder if you're,
I want to, what do you say?
David's got the floor.
Okay, after him.
thank you.
Why not?
First of all, thank you for coming in and also, you know, being a trusted source. I think trust is clearly lacking in this. And it's to me a grand shame. I wonder if the board were to approach you as a trusted figure, probably someone who's respected on all sides, as a potential arbiter of coming up with a concrete, rather than just hopes, but a concrete solution to move forward, including resolution of what has gone on. Would you consider doing that?
If you guys need my help, anytime, anywhere, I'm happy to come, or I'll invite you to my office.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's.
Sarah, Sarah.
I'm free to tell him.
Sarah's next, and then I'll go to you, you'll be last.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in re-traumatized people, I'm lucky I don't have this re-traumatization, but we're with abuse of power. In general, I'm a lifelong county resident. We have a lot of crossover here. So a lot of our law enforcement, everybody's part-time, right? So we've got part-time, we've got like the head of Shandaken as part-time with our sheriff, right? And then we've got sheriff, who's the county, right? That works in.
No, I'm not the sheriff.
No, you're county, you're all of county. And then we have individual offices with our law enforcement, so you've got Socrates, sex offender, law enforcement. And then we have a sex offender who works here in an office every Friday, and our supervisor says he doesn't know what he does. And then we have people who are just not at all uncomfortable with this individual working in an office, but totally comfortable with the lifestyle apparently. of this person just being in the town, all over the kids. This is very confusing for us indeed, because nobody knows who to call necessarily. This is what we're talking about. There is nobody to call. With somebody mentioned Ghostbusters today, you're talking about, we don't know if we're calling Jen or Letitia. I don't know either, because I've tried to call both, and I do not have a hope, because I have conflict of interest with your office, and we talked about it today.
Do you have a question?
And so, but we're, like, this is a trauma bonded room right now, so if we do, like, we're still asking, what do we do when a clerk is not clerking? We don't have adherence to open meetings law. We have a transparency problem that created this core fucked up vision that we're looking at right here. So when we're trying to trust our law enforcement that's at odds with you, but you guys were all together, when we're talking about skull fucking and nigglets and flappers, and we have a boobs problem, they got somebody in trouble with ethics, but this is a very unethical decision with the same person filed with ethics is sitting right here on our town board, Laura, right?
Do you have a
She can
question?
come with boobs.
Do you have a question for the GM?
But we need to understand, right, how to not face intimidation. Can we have a mediation process on a regular basis? Who do we find our checks and balances with? If it is not the board and we're towing on democracy, you've given us an answer, which is, we find this through engagement in democracy, which we've all done, yes?
Okay.
No, because we voted, actually, there was a vote in this room, it's not clerked down properly, we know that, because I got told to shut up, I got told to sit down, I was told to be removed from
Sarah,
our
do you have a
building right
question?
here in this window by our clerk. No, you tried to become a board member, you told me to shut up, you told me to sit down, you told Clayton Keith to remove me, I can't get the Axon footage. Nobody
Do
knows
you
how.
have a
How do you
question?
get the Axon footage?
How do you get?
The Axon footage from WPD or any other,
I'm so.
I get hung up on from KPD. How would you get body camera if you can't get a meeting posted
where?
online? If I can get Woodstock Police Department, I feel intimidated by our law enforcement in general in our county, and that's the truth.
Okay.
And by leadership that has crossed over and some has gone into federal this point.
Okay, let him answer.
I have a crime victims advocate who thinks somebody is their coworker,
There is,
gun toting.
there is something called FOIL,
Mm.
Freedom of
Something
Information Law,
like that.
okay? That's any individual.
Oversight.
Any individual can ask, file for information. Could be video, it could be written document, it could be some other information preserved some other way. But there are restrictions on what you can obtain by FOIL. For example, if there's an active investigation going on, you sure as hell will not get that information. Okay, if there's a pending case, or it's being prosecuted, you are not going to get it. Okay, but if you meet the criteria for freedom of information law, fulfillment of your request.
Open meetings law, for example, like when we don't have.
I
Or like.
I can't say anything about open meetings law because, that's
Well,
not.
that's Albany, that's a go.
Again, there are things that the county attorney can answer for you if you want to reach out to the county attorney. There are things that the attorney general's office can answer for you. Do I have any reason to expect that you are going to get the time of day, knowing what they're involved in?
I mean, I've been told to fuck off.
I'll just say good luck.
Okay,
Okay.
Fanny, last question.
People say that we can go to the attorney of the town.
The town attorney,
Right, who is the town attorney? Who is the town attorney?
I don't know.
There are several. Kyle Barnett.
Who?
Kyle Barnett.
Carol Burnett?
Okay.
Kyle.
Hold on, hold on.
Call me in the morning, I'll give you the list.
Just,
He
Just
doesn't know,
hold on.
we don't know.
he just said Kyle, Kyle, Barnett, Barnet or TT.
So,
Okay, hold on. Kyle Barnett is also a judge in Esopus, I believe.
Yes.
So if you look on the internet, you should be able to find him either as an attorney or as a judge.
But I don't want to go to the internet, I want the town to give me the information so that I can get in touch with that attorney.
But what I am saying, whether the board gives it to you,
Well,
a
I
member of,
this town.
I understand.
feel that.
I understand that.
The town attorney, I think the town here, the clerk, can give me the information.
I understand you, the clerk, if whether the clerk gives it to you, or any
Are
other,
they supposed to give it to me if I ask, or they can say, I don't want to give it to you.
No.
They
That's
Ma'am,
how they
ma'am,
say they don't wanna give it to
I-
you, they can do that for weeks.
what I am saying to you is you have ways to obtain the information. If any of them gives it to you, good. If they don't wanna give it to you, you can consult the internet,
they can say
look
no,
it up
yes.
and get you can get that information.
That's what I
too.
am asking, they can say, no, we don't want to give.
I don't know if they can say no or not, that's really,
Okay.
that's beyond that's beyond my pay scale.
Another thing is like the couple of weeks ago, when there was a meeting about this. There's always something that, reports this all the meetings. And usually it's that the clerk. So at that meeting, to which everybody here was, asking this question because the town supervisor wanted to end the meeting as soon as he finished his, whatever he needed to say. He said, the meeting is ended, and everybody here said, no, not ended, and we don't want to talk about the issue, this individual. So we have to stay here. So, and when the meeting ended, I asked, what happened with the record for this town, when the date is released? So he said, we don't have to have it. I said, you don't have to report to the meetings? He said, no, not all the meetings. So that meeting, the clerk wasn't here and that thing wasn't there, so it's like it never happened. Now, the people that were here, individuals, they really reported everything that was going on. But the town didn't report anything. And so when I asked him, he said, I don't have to report all the meetings. Is that the right?
Again, about open meetings law, I don't know much, it's not, that's really something that. It's gonna depend on the local laws, and whether it should be, whether it's required for the meetings to be recorded, or not, okay? I unfortunately can't, answer that for you. Okay?
All right, then. Manny, thank you very much for coming out. You want to come back next month?
November.
November, how about November, just before Thanksgiving?
I am happy to come back anytime to see that things are working out, that people are, this has, caused a lot of pain in this community, and I would like to see that it works out, and anything that I can do, whether it's coming back here or having people here, I'm happy to.
Thank you.
Manny, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great, speakers.
Okay, I'm gonna jump into a couple of resolutions. Be resolved to hire Anna Helm as court clerk effective September 10th, 2025, at an hourly rate of $25.69.
Second.
Discuss. Bill,
This is the first time in 4 years in a hiring that we actually endeavored to take all of the steps and produce a punch list for hiring and speak on every single one of these steps. And I'm really pleased to say that on all but one of the steps, we have checked off the box. We have done it. Anula and I sat down with the two justices and the current court clerk. We went through both our list and the collective bargaining agreements list, and we checked off all but one thing. The one thing that has not been checked off, I have asked you repeatedly, Supervisor McKenna. Have you sent something to the personnel office to create a part-time position?
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you not get the?
Thank you.
The email?
No, I did not, and that is why I'm asking you right now. So all of the steps have now been completed.
That's it.
Bennett,
From my phone, so.
Bennett, I also did a reference check.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you,
Just
Maria.
wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that.
Thank you.
All of these steps are necessary for hiring. And we are pleased that we were able to do this.
I would keep holding on to that if you want.
Yeah, thank you.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Authorize the supervisor to sign the amended Fisher contract. I sent that out to.
Yeah, I'll just second.
Okay, I sent that out to you a week or so ago. This is just no monetary change, just a change in the team. They're bringing in architects.
I just want to make sure that what this does is it eliminates some of the environmental things that need to be done, but those things need to be done by somebody else.
It doesn't eliminate.
It doesn't eliminate the
No,
things,
no.
the environmental protections, that
No.
it just removes them from what Fisher is supposed to
Right,
be doing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I want to thank the housing committee for considering the town finances. They negotiated change in the agreement in the best interest of full transparency. And one of the things that will be coming our way are the public will be able to see, in fact, these different properties and get a good idea of what it could be like for affordable housing. So really exciting steps, and thanks to them.
Okay, all in favor? Be it resolved.
Aye.
Town of Woodstock request New York State DOT reduce the posted speed limit on Route 212 between Chestnut Hill Road and Shoemaker Lane to 25 miles per hour. Be further resolved, the town board of Woodstock request the New York State DOT to reduce this posted speed limit on Route 212 between Shoemaker Lane and the bridge in Bearsville to 35 miles per hour.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be resolved to request New York State DOT extend the plans for bridge replacement and complete street project PIN number 8122.20 to include the side path from Woodstock Village Green to Bearsville.
Second.
Discuss. So my question about this is, does this mean that there is a specific side path plan
No.
that we are getting?
No, it means that they're going to
And
design.
It means that the process goes forward
Yes.
to, because I do know that including the side path may cause several of the holes, in fact, 40 of the 41 holes for trees to be used as part of the pathway. So what we're really trying to figure out is how these two things can work together. As long as there isn't a prescribed pathway,
No.
I'm for it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank the Complete Streets Committee for both of these resolutions, because they work tirelessly to always find ways to make our streets safer, make it better, make the town better for pedestrians, bicyclists, as well as drivers and all, so.
Be it resolved.
Any chance of hearing?
But I just have a comment.
Yeah.
Just to respond to Bennett, the question you have Bennett about the tree pits, that same question could exist if there's a sidewalk and a side path.
Right.
So we're looking for the best solution. But we want to have a side path in proposition. Yeah.
Be it resolved to set public hearing for the bear ordinance for September 23rd, 2025 at 7:05 p.m. at the town offices of 45 Belmont Drive, Woodstock, New York. Be it further resolved to authorize Town clerk to publish in the town's official newspaper the following notice. Town, Woodstock Town Board, in a meeting held on September 9th, 2025, scheduled a public hearing. Excuse me,
Is that ordinance separate?
September 23rd. 2025 at 7:05 P.M. Town offices 45 Colmore Drive, Woodstock, New York, to hear comments on proposed fair ordinance.
Second and discuss, I want to say that the Beer Task Force worked extremely hard to put this legislation together. So please do comment, we want to hear from you. And the intention here is to reduce human bear interactions, most of them which result in bears ending up dead. So there's gonna be significant fines for people who don't contain their litter. The first one is 100 and it goes up from there. So I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public be heard.
Where's that bear ordinance?
Yeah.
Should be on the town website.
On the TB meeting documents, please.
Lori.
Lori.
Yeah.
Lori Felber.
Hi, I'm thankful that you're looking at our reducing the tax limit of our roads and highways. Being that I'm a resident of Glasgow Turnpike. Where the speed limit is 40 and people can go 45 to 50, especially those large trucks, the F-150s and the garden trucks, and I walk my dog with a bright vest. And anytime a truck goes by, I have to stand off to the side and I will not be killed. So I am requesting to read that formally for you to reduce the speed limit on Glasgow Turnpike to 35 and to look at the infrastructure of Glasgow Turnpike between Rock City Road and Clockman, because there are sections where it's quite dangerous, where there's no room for any pedestrian to go like this. There's also a culvert that's falling apart right outside of Rock City Road, and also that corner, trying to traverse it is very scary when I have my dog, and since we want to be a walking community and reduce the amount of vehicle traffic, I think that is the number one thing we should do next, is to reduce it to 35 and revisit the infrastructure and make that road walkable.
Okay, that does require us going to the county, it's a county road.
Well, it's a 212 is a county road.
That's a state road, we have to ask the county. We'll do that.
Mike Mulvey.
Well, I just wanted to say that we're coming to the end of what's perhaps been the most dismal season for an entertainer in an entertainment town that I have ever seen there. So good work, folks. You know, not much has gotten done this administration. I understand the last election was whatever. Things didn't get done here. I'm kind of hoping that if anything does get done the rest of this year, that everybody in this town is paying attention. That every move that is made, every document that's authorized, and one other thing. It's a waste of time.
Thank you, Michael. Next.
Anna Womack.
Anna Womack.
Oh, yeah, try not to spend that $8 million that's laid
Oh,
around.
yeah, don't be leaving us them coffers, mother.
Yeah, don't read the coffers, watch that movie.
We heard that you're planning on it.
So, first, I just wanted to say thank you for making the time to having a DA here. I think that was very helpful. I wanna say that I think one of the comments that he made that I think is pertinent for us all to consider, community as well as the board, is the aspect of re-traumatization within the community. I think that's really important on all sides, so I would just ask that we sit and meditate on that. Don't mean for that to sound condescending, I'm sure that it does, at least in part, but I think it's important, so I just wanted to bring it up. The only other thing I wanted to bring up is that, at least for me, and I know for other members of the community, having the meeting minutes available is really helpful when we're kind of looking over what's going on in town. And I noticed that the minutes from August 12th are not posted yet, from August. So the last ones that I believe are currently available are for July 22nd. And so I just wanted to say that publicly, that if I or the community could have the opportunity to see meeting minutes from either the 12th or the 19th, that would be very helpful, yes.
Anna, you can always call me and I can send you my drafts.
Okay, that'd be great,
Yeah,
thank you, Jackie,
absolutely.
thank
Do
you.
not hesitate.
Okay, great,
I
that's good to
usually have
know.
them done by the next day, so.
Okay, great, thank you,
Okay.
I really appreciate that,
You're
that's all.
Thank you, Laura.
Michael, Fox, King of those.
Well, there's been a lot said tonight. I would just want to put out there that I would hope this town board can be more responsive to what they're hearing from their community. So,
Thank you, Michael.
Fanny, Prasanna?
Yeah. I was wondering why the floor at the entrance of the TV station painted green, because it got all dirty now. With everybody's stepping.
I'll ask Al tomorrow.
Yeah, it's all dirty because when we come from the outside and we step there, we leave out the path. So I think it has to be changed the color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next.
Michael Beach?
Looks like I have the last word. Is that correct?
Yes.
I want to talk briefly about trees. I'm still the chair of the Woodstock Tree Committee. This is my 11th year. We've had a very successful run, as my committee will attest to. I want to speak to the taking down of a very large iconic tree down on Tinker Street a couple of weeks ago. When New York City tore down Penn Station, it was a traumatic blow to the city. At the time, they didn't really have historic preservation, and it served as a wake-up call for the whole city to turn around and realize what they have and take the necessary steps to preserve it. The tree committee wants to take your removal of this iconic protected tree
Wasn't my.
let this public be heard. Let me speak, okay? The tree committee would like to take this particular event where you had or approved removal of a large iconic Woodstock protected tree without consulting the tree committee in advance. We'd like to take this as a wake-up call for the community and how important it is for the town and the next town board to step up and preserve and protect the remaining large iconic trees that we still have on our streets. The tree committee is going to bring forward a request to the town board for the next budget of $5,000. A portion of that $5,000 will be to pay a certified arborist, not a tree cutter, but a certified arborist to come in and look at these large iconic trees and give us an evaluation and assessment of what it's going to take to preserve those trees. Now, the tree committee understands and realizes that many of these trees are on private property. And we're willing to work with the town, preferably the next town board, and next town supervisor on a plan to work with these property owners to help them and assist them and show them how they can actually save money by preserving these trees as opposed to just cutting them down and making them disappear. The next time, Bill, finally, I have one request of you.
3 minutes.
In your last 3 months here as town supervisor, I'm making it as quick as I can, Bill. Stop interrupting me and I'll finish, okay? In your last 3 months.
Sorry.
In your last 3 months, Bill, I make one request of you as the town supervisor from the chair of the Woodstock Tree Committee, who serves at the pleasure of the town board. The next time you get the call for removal of one of the large protected iconic trees, you will give me a call to provide the advice that I'm here to give you at the request of the town board.
Thank you.
Smirking is not gonna make it happen. I'd like to hear you say yes.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank
Motion
you.
to adjourn.
Second.
Favor?
Yeah.